Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Thursday evening meditation. It's so quiet here. I have all these sound isolation boards around me. It just makes it feel like it's like a padded cell in a mental hospital. Maybe not the right comparison. No, actually, it feels really nice. It's just really soothing and calm. You know, you can hear I have all this, like I have the woolen sofa here. I have all these sound, what do you call them? Like these boards you use to minimize reflections. And it just makes it so that it's you kind of turn down the volume, everything. When I hear myself talking, there's like a lack of echo. It's just a really quiet room. It almost feels strange that it's so quiet, but it's very relaxing and very nice. So I'm hoping everyone's had a good week and maybe even had some fun things happen to them. Who knows? Mats, always nice to see you, my friend. How you doing today? There we go. Yeah, it's been a nice week. I'm actually doing something I haven't done for ages tomorrow, like a really, really long time. I'm going to a concert. I'm going to see Bryan Adams in Gothenburg tomorrow, which it's fun. It's a gift from my brother he bought for... I'm okay. How about yourself? Yeah, I'm doing pretty well. I've had a cold that's kind of been in the back burner. But yeah, feeling good. And also, like I said, it's going to be fun tomorrow. We're going to the Bryan Adams show, and I remember Bryan Adams from when I was a child, and it was that song for Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves with, what's his name? I can see his face in front of me, but yeah, anyway, that song they had there. And he was like big when I was a kid, and then I loved South Park, who kept saying when they talked about Canada, like, yeah, that's not fair. We already apologized for Bryan Adams. You can't be angry at us for that. But Bryan Adams is a really good singer, and he's done some amazing songs. And it'd be nice to go and see it with my brother and mother. So I'm looking forward to that. I haven't been to a concert for... like a big concert like that. Well, that must be before I was ordained. Like, we're talking 2007, 6, something like that maybe. How long is that? 7? That's 15, 16, 17 years, something. It's a long time ago. So that'll be fun. The most difficult part is that it starts at 8. I go to bed at 9. It's too late. It's past my bedtime. How am I going to handle that? I have kids. I'm not used to staying up late. We go to bed at 7. Like, they're sleeping now, so I kind of feel already like, yeah, do my evening meditation, and then it's bedtime. But I am looking forward to it. It'll be nice to see that many people and that much energy in the air, and listening to all those old songs. See what that feels like. We were, as monks, we're not actually allowed to listen to music. You can't have music playing around you. You're not even allowed to be in a space where there's like a radio, if you want to be really strict. And the idea is that it creates a craving or like want inside of you, and it creates this longing for something. Sounds fun. Will probably be worth staying up. Yeah, I hope it's going to be worth staying up my bedtime. But I remember, like I said, when I was a monastic, there was rules about not having music, and at first I thought it was pretty dumb, and it was kind of like, wow, what's the point? But then when I started meditating a lot, I noticed that I used to sing a lot. I was in the musical arts program at the Ballet Academy here in Gothenburg, and I was in a few musicals and sang quite a lot in choirs. So as soon as I closed my eyes, it would go like, dun, 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 dun. My mind would just start singing a song, and it would be playing in the background. So it's very difficult to calm that down. It actually took years before I stopped singing mentally when I closed my eyes. And yeah, in a way, at first I can see how that's useful, because if you actually want to calm down and not be distracted, then that is an obstacle. But at the same time, I don't really sing that much anymore. It's just something that's disappeared, and I don't feel any sadness about it. Although I might start singing again. Who knows? It's fun to sing. Music's beautiful, for sure. But how about we do some meditation instead? That's definitely fun. I'm just going to prepare everything. Save it like this. There we go. I was thinking that we'll do the same as usual. We'll do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 meditation where we focus on our senses and calm down. And then we're just going to sit in silence. Today, I'd like you to, no matter what technique you're doing, try doing the time slices, meaning that when you are aware of whatever you're using for your object of meditation, try to narrow down the amount of time that you're observing, meaning that if you're observing your breath, instead of just feeling like, oh, I'm flowing with the flow and going around in a circle, try to make your awareness almost staccato, so you feel the breath, pause, then it's out, and there's a longer pause, and then there's a breath, so that you observe the whole, every part of the cycle, not as a whole, but as small slices of time. And you might be using a mantra, you may be using a scanning technique, or you may be doing some other technique of visualization, whatever, but just try to bring your awareness into that thin slice of time, which is now. So you can do together with me when we do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. We'll just start with 5 things that we can see, 4 things that we can feel, and then 3 things that we can hear, followed by 2 things that you can smell, and 1 thing that you can taste. And the whole idea is that they get more and more difficult. You need to focus more and more to become aware of your senses. So it brings you into now, observing what your senses are feeling now. And we say it out aloud, not because there's something magical about it, but just because we want to really stop and say, I see this, I feel this. If you're next to someone who's sleeping or in a place where you have to be quiet, then obviously just say it to yourself, but be sure to stop and be aware of what you're observing. So you can do it together with me. 5 things that we can see. I can see a lens on my camera. I can see a pair of glasses. I see a pair of headphones. I see a toilet paper roll. And I see it's like a spaceship statue. There was 5 things that I could see. And now you take 4 things that you can feel. I can feel this carpet. And I can feel dents in the carpet, like something hard has been standing here, which I really don't know what that is. And then I can feel the mouse mat lying here, and I can feel the metal of this technical gizmo lying here. After 4 things we can feel, we'll go to 3 things that we can hear. So I can hear the fan from my computer. I can hear silence. It's really silent in here. And I can hear the sound of the fan on the lamp. After 3 things that you can hear, we do 2 things that you can smell. I can smell the detergent on my t-shirt. I can smell some kind of food. Maybe it's meat or sausage or something. And then finally, there's 1 thing that you can taste. You can taste saliva. Yeah. Probably need to brush my teeth afterwards. So that's going 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then we'll just start with meditation for 20 minutes and questions and answers afterwards. As usual, you can just continue sitting if you want to, or ask questions if you have any. Or just drink a cup of tea. It's fine also. It used to be that in this office that I'm sitting right now, which is basically a small, where should I call it, a shed? A container, a big container. It used to be cold, so I need to have the heat on, but now when spring is coming, I actually feel it's pretty warm in here. I'm going to have to turn on the AC soon. It's very interesting to sit with heat and feel the distortions that come from heat, the feeling that, ooh, I want to take this away and I want to just push this heat away from me because it's difficult. And I remember in Sri Lanka there used to be, well, many places, but Sri Lanka, some of the centers had so many mosquitoes. Oh my goodness. That was the second time I had dengue fever. I was at a center in, I think that was the southern part of Sri Lanka. And I have never been that bitten by mosquitoes in my entire life. They said they had many mosquitoes, and they didn't want to have nets, so we got mosquito cream. And I had so much of it that I got dizzy from it, and I still got bitten, I think, 50 times per day or more. And I was there for a week, and then I got dengue fever, so it's not a good idea. But it was very interesting to hear, like, bzzz, and then you start like, ooh, it's going to come here, and you observe the distortion, like, I don't want this to be here, and then you feel them land, and then you're waiting for it, and they kind of sting, and you don't feel anything, but then it starts pulsating warm as they suck the blood out of you, and then they fly away. You can kind of feel as they draw the stinger, or the straw out, and fly away, and then it starts feeling. It's interesting to sit and watch. I see Mats is saying, very mixed bag of meditation for me today. In the beginning, I really got the hang of the staccato method, but then I started drifting off and almost fell asleep multiple times. Any tips for that? Yes. Sleep or tiredness or drowsiness is not really necessarily a negative thing. Like we kind of tend to see it as if though if you get tired in meditation, it's something that we should get rid of so that we become clear and more present. But drowsiness is also, the way that I see it is that when you start observing what's happening inside, the mind just doesn't really want to do that. It would rather much rather be in this state of just being absorbed in the distortions in your thoughts and not being aware. So it kind of pushes back, right? And it starts like chattering like crazy. And then when you realize, oh, you know what, I can't stop these thoughts. I mean, I can't stop him from calming down the thoughts. So we're just going to put them to sleep. So the body just kind of goes to sleep. But then when you sit with it, all of a sudden, once you sit, it's kind of like this. You're like, oh, I can barely stay awake. And then you're wide awake and all that drowsiness is gone. So I had that several times when I went through this, the jnanas, the cycle that you go through when you meditate. And there were certain parts where drowsiness was very common. And instead of fighting it, instead of seeing it as like, oh, you're doing something wrong, it's just sitting with that and feeling that like, oh, I don't want to have this drowsiness. I want to be clear, but I can't. And you're kind of struggling against it. And you just try to observe that without, again, the tension or the pressure towards it. And then all of a sudden, as you sit there, you might, I had this sometimes for weeks that I was sitting, and then I sat like the whole days. Maybe not several weeks, but at least a week, I would sit with like this drowsiness, and I would just sit like this, and it was painful, like agony to just sit, because I just was falling asleep the whole time. And it's very easy to think I need more sleep, but then you sit, and then all of a sudden you go through it, and it's gone, and you're completely clear, and you don't have that anymore. So especially when you go to retreats, it's easy to think that I need to sleep more because you have a really strict schedule. That's usually not the case. I mean, it could be that you need more sleep, obviously. But many times it's just something the mind does to distract us, and it seems to be related to these cycles. So just observe it. Don't feel like it's a failure. I try to tell people that when you have it, it's in fact a reaction of the mind that like, okay, it doesn't work to kind of distract them with the thoughts. We're going to just put them to sleep. So we don't do this because the mind or the body instinctively tends to not want to do what we're trying to do. It wants to be moving constantly, shifting awareness. See, Mindful Mama, let's see what she said. Thank you for a nice sitting. My baby woke up in the middle of it, so I had to stop early, but 10 minutes or so were very nice. I'm going to sleep like my baby. Wish you all a good evening. Thank you, Mindful Mama. Hope you have a nice rest. Mats, I started dreaming for a couple of seconds. I just treated the same thoughts, returning to the breath. I'll just try observing it. It definitely felt like my mind tried to distract me. Yeah, it really is that way, and there's no point in getting angry at it, and it's not that you're doing anything wrong. It's just stay with it, and then you'll see that eventually it will go past. And this is easier in a way when you're at a meditation retreat, because then you meditate constantly all the time, and you kind of push against this more. So you have to work with it more, and you can also see the effect of, if I just observe it, eventually it just goes away, instead of the way it is for you now, where you meditate every now and then a little bit, and then it comes up and like, oh, I like it more when my meditation is nice and I'm calm. I don't like this drowsiness thing. I should do something about it. And other things you can do is, I don't know if you remember, I spoke one time about sitting posture. Can't remember if you were the one who asked about it, but there's one called the diamond, where you basically sit on your knees and have something, you sit on a chair, so you fold your legs underneath you and then sit up. And that is that has a lot of energy in it, so that makes it more difficult to fall asleep, which can help when you're in one of these states. You can also try standing up and meditating. Walking meditation is very good when you're feeling a lot of drowsiness. Or you can just sit through it, of course. But if you want to have a bit more energy, like I said, stand up. I stand up quite often and meditate. It's very nice, and it has a lot of energy to it. So you can do one of those things, or the diamond position. I'll just show it. Basically, you would take a pillow, and you put your legs like this. You put the pillow behind your bum, like in between your legs, so you're not sitting on your heels. And then you're sitting like this, and it has a lot of energy to it. It's quite easy to be focused in that position. I hope that helps, Mats. See, Stephen, how long should you meditate? I can't see the last part, but per day, every day, how long you should? I mean, it depends on what you talk about with meditation, but like how long? It's really nice if you can do one sitting per day at least, and if that sitting is 20 minutes, I think that's a good time. But if you only have 5 minutes, I mean, then you have 5 minutes. It's also worth noting that meditation is not the be-all. Like, it's not the point of it. The point is not to meditate. The thing is, you meditate, you become aware of what's happening inside of you and around you, that you're aware of the distortions you have, the reactions you have to things happening inside of you when you move around your day. So the idea is that you do the meditation so that you can become aware. I don't want to say mindful only, because that has different ideas behind that practice, but to be aware of what state you're in right now. And in the way I teach with distortion practice, it basically means you need to be aware of the distortions, and then throughout the day you come back and observe, how am I doing right now? How am I feeling? What am I experiencing through my senses? And if you're walking around and you say, like, you know what, I'm not feeling good now, then you ask yourself, why? Why am I not feeling good? Why am I choosing in this moment, which is, it's just a lot of now moments you're passing through. So are you going to wait until another now? Because it's still going to be now when you choose to feel good. So you ask yourself, why am I not feeling good now? Why am I not appreciating this moment around me, which is inherently beautiful and just splendid in being, just by the fact that it's there. But we can't see that because we have this feeling of, oh, I know there should be something different. I should be working. I should be resting. I should be achieving something. I should be talking to someone. I should be looking for something. So we can't enjoy just being here. So throughout the day, you go around and you ask yourself, how am I feeling now? Like, how am I doing now? And then see what the answer to that is. And if it's not, I'm feeling good, I'm enjoying being alive and being here, then ask yourself why. And then a good technique is also to go back and look, when did you stop feeling well and enjoying being? And then if you see, well, it's half an hour ago I had a conversation with a colleague and they said something and I didn't like what they said. And again, you ask yourself, does that make sense? That I'm choosing to feel bad now because of what they said. And then when you start looking at this, you see that you're the one creating this suffering, and you can let go of it. So it's not about how long you meditate a day, it's how much you're able to then apply that to your daily life. I hope that cleared up, Stephen. See, Mats, yeah, I might try to switch up my meditation position. They're pretty difficult to hold a long time because I wrecked my back. Oh, thanks for the tips, as always. Okay, sorry to hear that about your back. Just thinking about the back. Yeah, standing can be a good position. Like, try that. I don't know what kind of problems you have with your back, but standing can be relaxing and good in many ways. You can also meditate lying down, but if you have problems with being tired, then that's probably not the position you should try. At least not right now. Did that make it clearer for you, Stephen, or did that answer your question? See, we may have lost Stephen. He got so mindful that he's not even with us. Well, I need to rest for... Okay, no, wait, see, Stephen is writing. I meditate 30 minutes a day, and sometimes I feel I need to meditate more. It's obviously good if you meditate more, but like I said, it's not about how much you meditate, it's how much you're able to apply that meditation. If you compare the meditation to sharpening your axe, if you sharpen your axe for half an hour a day because you do a lot of cutting, well, that's good. But if you sharpen your axe the entire day, but you never cut down any trees, it's like, what's the point of having a sharp axe, right? So the whole idea is that you do as much meditation as you have time to, and then do what I said about being aware of what state you're in right now, and then constantly turning towards what I call happy feet. I mean, that is what I've always called it for myself. I haven't really shared that phrase for it with people, but it's the best way that I can describe it, because I need to use words. If I just say joyful or happy or feeling good, it kind of brings a lot of thoughts to it. But if I say happy feet, then people start actually stopping and thinking, what is he talking about? And they might see that open, peaceful feeling of just enjoying being in excitement, of just being alive. The fact that this moment is precious and it's amazing to be alive. That kind of feeling. See, Mats wrote here, and another thing I noticed from the mini dreams during the meditation is that they contain the same themes as a nightmare I had today. That makes me suspicious that there is a deeper distortion, other deeper states of meditation in yoga practice. Jack Crasher is asking, are there deeper states of meditation? What do you mean, Jack? I'm not sure about that one. About what you said, Mats. Wait, let me just... There was a cable. There's cable in front. Yeah, if you look at those distortions or tensions, it's basically the way that when it really became clear to me that we have distortions to things around us was when I had been meditating for a long time. And I came back to my relative's house, and I walked out the door to the balcony, and I went, ugh. It's like, what was that? It's like, and I walked back again, I went, ugh. And it was towards the same side. And I thought, is there like an evil spirit here? Or what am I reacting towards? And what I realized was that several months before, there had been a wasp hive in an urn that I was walking by. And every time I walked by it, I had a subconscious distortion towards this urn. Oh, danger, don't go near, because wasps are dangerous and I should not be there. And I could see them fly out before. My uncle had taken them away, so there were no wasps there anymore. But subconsciously, I had a physical reaction to this thing here. And this was just like a big thing, because it was something dangerous. My body reacted, so it tried to keep me safe by giving me a distortion. In other words, I would never lie down and sleep next to that thing, because that would be really... I would feel that and I could not relax. So it's these distortions are kind of there to help us survive, and especially when our minds weren't as developed as we are now. It would make sense, at least. I don't know if that's why, but that's the only reason I can see why we would have them, unless you believe in like some deity trying to punish us or something. But it makes sense that it's a survival mechanism that we distort towards. So if you have thoughts that keep repeating themselves, or nightmares, which are basically strong distortions, then very likely something has happened that created a strong like this. So what I had against this urn, I kept pushing against that because I walked by it and I would run by it because I didn't like the wasps and they were quite aggressive. In Sri Lanka, sometimes the wasps can get really like in some kind of frenzy, so they just go and just the whole hive comes and stings people. I've heard of attacks like this, so I was careful with it. So if you have something that is repeating itself, very likely there is a strong distortion or a strong connection towards whatever it is that you keep having coming back to you. And you can kind of wash those away by looking at them. By looking at them and seeing if you can turn towards happy feet while you're in the presence of whatever that is. Obviously, don't put yourself in physical danger, but just letting them come up. And if that has to do with something, so for instance, one of the things I would do if people had a problem with agoraphobia, being out in like open spaces or talking to people, I do something called movie meditation, where I ask my students to sit down in front of preferably a computer where they can sit pretty close, or a TV, and they sit and they meditate, and they start meditating and they have a movie, right? So they're afraid of, let's say, someone being unfaithful. So we watch a movie about someone cheating on someone. You meditate and you sit and you become calm, and then you press start on the movie and you sit and you keep on like being aware, holding onto your breath and just observing it. And then the movie starts and you see things come up and like, oh, you start feeling the distortion, so you pause it. And then you sit and you just try to let go of the distortion, seeing like it's just on the screen, it's not real. Why are you distorting towards this? You can intellectually understand that this is not a good idea. And then you let it come up and you let yourself feel, what am I feeling? I'm feeling this fear of this happening to me. And instead of resisting it, you just kind of let it wash over you. So you wash it away. And then you keep watching the movie, and then you watch, and for these distortions, and you can actually pause it. And it's a very good of doing it in this environment that is as unthreatening and as undangerous as possible, because it's just a screen. And you can kind of see for yourself that it's not even happening to me, it's happening to someone in a movie that I have no connection to, and still I'm distorting. And that helps to let go of it, and it helps to see that this is kind of a silly thing to do. You don't need to do this. Not that it's easy to let go of it, but my point is that when you start observing this, you can like, well, obviously I should not have to feel bad for something happening there. So that's a good way to, if you want to work with it more directly, Mats. See, Jack is clarifying here, maybe. You know, Mahayana gets to some states of mind. I was wondering how that goes with Shiva techniques. I'm not sure what Shiva techniques are. Is that Hinduism you're talking about? I don't really spend that much time on mind states. I mean, when you do meditate, many times you go into what I call concentrations. Well, I don't call it, that's what Buddhism calls it, concentration states or jhanas, which is basically when you start focusing on an object, then the field around you feels different. It feels lighter, it feels happier, but there is still a sense of me being there. But it's just that the way that you distort towards the world kind of takes on a more softer tone that is more filled with nice sensations. Those are concentration states, and they can also lead to like these states where you believe you see things that aren't there, or feel or experience or whatever. And I just never put any importance to those at all, because basically I just see them as distractions. You're gonna say, for instance, you're sitting and meditating and you see a past lifetime and you see a long story that goes out, and then you start like researching, does this person exist? Was that me? What does it mean? And you start asking masters and trying to figure this stuff out, and you try to see like, oh, maybe I did something, I need to work with that old karma, and I need to do, and like completely stuck in your mind with all these ideas, and you're bringing on more identity instead of trying to let go of identity. So I know there are a lot of techniques that focus on that, but I simply don't do it because I don't really see that it helps people. Yoga, okay, yeah. Yeah, like I said, I'm the wrong person to ask about those things, because I'm not familiar with those techniques. And I personally, even though I go through all these states a lot and I had so much stuff come up, my approach was maybe that's why also, because I had a really easy time meditating, and I had all these experiences come and happen, and really strong energy movements all the time, like constantly. I've had that for 14 years now, so I never really put much emphasis on them because they were just there. And I think they really helped, because otherwise I could have been very caught up in trying to understand them or get more of them, or like nurture them, whereas I just saw them as distractions, because I want to see the world as clearly as possible without me interrupting, without me distorting. In other words, this feeling of, oh, I need to be somewhere else, or whatever it is. That's my single goal for my meditation. See, Mats is writing, very interesting, thanks. I'll give it a try. Yeah, good. Not sure how I will incorporate my nightmare, because it's not something that really happened. It's only manifested of my insecurities, loneliness. Yeah, sure. I mean, just watch something that kind of is in the same theme, and you don't even have to use that particular thing. I did a lot of meditating with series or movies or whatever, and I just started sitting, and I was in a really calm state, and then the movie started, and it was like, and I'm like, okay, I feel the distortion starting already, so I just stopped it. And then I just sat with that and let go of it and see, like, why am I distorting? And once you start seeing this, it's kind of like, why can't I stop it? Like, I can see that this is not comfortable, but why am I doing it? And that's just part of the process. Like, you observe it and you see it, and by seeing it and kind of becoming frustrated with it, eventually you just kind of, well, this is so dumb. Why did I do this? I'm just going to stop doing it. And then it just stops happening, kind of. Let's see. Jack Crasher. Walking meditation always sounded to me as some kind of yogic acticity. That's all. Okay, yeah, walking meditation is very nice. I do it every evening before I sit down. In the traditions I moved around, we did a lot of walking in combination with sitting. So we'd do walking meditation for 1 hour, and then we'd sit for 1 hour, and then we'd walk for 1 hour, and then we'd sit for 1 hour, and then we'd have a break, and then we'd walk, sit, break, walk, sit. So it was kind of it works really well together, and many times you'll see that when you walk, you get a different kind of concentration and more energy in it. It also really helps if you have a lot of negative thoughts or a lot of difficult sensations. It really helps to do walking meditation. If people feel that sitting down and closing their eyes gives them anxiety, which is not as uncommon as you might think, then walking really helps. And then when you sit down after having walked, you'll see that your sitting meditation will get better. It really works. See, Stephen, I love this stuff over religion with people who stop being religious. Yeah. I mean, I used to say that I wished I was more religious, because I would love to have that feeling, oh, I can just say God made all this happen, so I don't need to worry about it. But that just never worked for me, and I'm sure it does work for some people. But the whole thing with the beliefs and needing it to be a certain way, and then, I mean, that's fine. People can believe what they want, but why do you need to argue with other people? And when you do what I call the distortion method, and you observe this, you'll see that your need to be right over someone else is just a distortion. It's just the same thing. And it doesn't matter, because they can say you're an idiot, and if you don't have a strong self that is like reflecting against it, then it's just someone saying something. You might even think that they have a beautiful voice when they say it, because some people have really nice resonant voices, and they can be really nice to listen to. And it wouldn't really make a difference what they're saying. They're still having a nice voice. So I agree, it can be, but it can also be a really beautiful thing. It seems like we kind of get in the way, and we kind of take ownership over the religions, and then we start fighting with other people, and then it just kind of causes trouble, instead of putting people together, which seems like it should do, or I wish it would do, at least. Nice questions. Thank you. Like I said, I have a meeting with Brian Adams tomorrow, so I'm going to go to sleep not too late tonight. But I'll see everyone again on Monday, and I'm really grateful for the questions. It's nice. It helps me know also what people are thinking about, because I am still trying to figure out what I want to do with the channel, what direction I want to take, and hearing your questions helps me with that, because it gives me a clear idea of what people actually want to work with and what is possible to work with over YouTube, because it's different from a coaching call or having a class for someone. I see Jack Crasher. Can you recommend from the experience? Let me just see if I can see everything right. Can you recommend from the experienced teachings or books on Mahayana? I'm sorry, Jack. Mahayana, the only one I'm familiar with is, well, the Dalai Lama, of course, but then Thich Nhat Hanh, Thai, was a center that I spent a lot of time at in Plum Village. He has some really nice books about the inner child and loving kindness. That's really his thing. Mats saying, have fun at the concert, Martin. Have a nice evening, everyone. Thank you, Mats, and thank you, everyone else. I'll see you back on Monday, where we have guided meditations and more questions and answers afterwards. Wish you all a pleasant evening. Thank you.